What if I told you that a coin, one that looks completely ordinary, is worth more than most people earn in an entire lifetime? You would not believe me. So I am not going to ask you to. I am just going to show you instead. Because the 2016 P. Roosevelt Dime sitting somewhere in your coin jar, your glove compartment, maybe even your pocket right now, it is not what you think it is, not even close. And the specific detail I'm going to share with you today, the one thing that separates this particular dime from the 18 billion others struck that same year, is something most people walk right past without ever knowing what they had. Stay with me, because by the time I finish telling you this story, you're going to want to go check every dime you own right now, tonight. That is not a gimmick. That is just what happens when you learn what I am about to share. This coin has been valued by elite numismatic experts and serious private collectors at $18 million. $18 million for a dime. Let that land for just a second, because at the average American household income, $18 million represents more than 300 years of work. It could purchase dozens of luxury homes in the finest neighborhoods in this country, and it started as 10 cents. That is the reality of what we're talking about today, and that is just the first coin in this video. What is coming after this one, I am genuinely not going to hint at it, because if I tried to explain it right now, you would not believe the number anyway. You need to see it build the way I am going to show you, so do not move, not yet. Now, to truly understand why this dime is worth what it is, you have to go back to 2016, and you have to feel what America felt like that year. It was an election year unlike anything the country had seen in decades. Tension running through every news cycle, every conversation, every morning commute. The Philadelphia Mint was running at full production capacity. Thousands of dies being prepared, millions of planchets being fed, through enormous coin presses that shook the floor with every strike. The workers arriving for the early shift that morning had no idea what was about to happen on their line. They were punching in, grabbing their coffee, taking their positions, just like every other day. The presses were loud. The quota boards were full. And somewhere in that controlled industrial chaos, something slipped through that was never supposed to exist. Imagine the sound of those presses, the rhythmic, mechanical thunder of metal meeting metal thousands of times per minute. And somewhere inside that rhythm, one coin was born differently. That coin is what we are talking about right now. The specific error that makes the 2016 P. Roosevelt Dime extraordinary is a double die obverse, and not a subtle one. This is not the kind of doubling you need a professional microscope to detect. On the finest known specimens, the doubling is visible, dramatic, and undeniable. Look at Roosevelt's eye on the obverse. That is your first target. On a normal 2016 P-dime, the eye is clean, single, sharp. On this variety, you will see a second distinct impression of that eye, offset at a clear angle, creating a ghost image that sits right alongside the primary strike. The word liberty shows the same dramatic separation. Each letter appearing twice, the secondary impression shifted visibly to the southeast. And the date, 2016, carries that same haunting doubling, each digit echoing itself in a way that is unmistakable once you know what to look for. The mechanical reason this happened is exactly what makes it so rare. During the hubbing process, the working die received a second impression from a master hub at a fractionally different angle, a rotation so small it sounds impossible, but large enough to create a visual doubling that collectors recognize immediately. Quality control should have caught it. It did not, and the coins that made it past inspection that day went straight into the banking system. This coin passed through thousands of hands. Nobody caught it until one person did. And here's the part that most people never find out. The 2016 P double die obverse specimens that have been graded by PCGS and NGC in mint datum S 67 and above can be counted on one hand. That scarcity at the top of the condition scale is precisely what drives evaluation to where it is. Because a collector chasing perfection does not have options. There is only one. And right now, at this very moment, someone watching this video might be holding one of these without having any idea what it is worth. The collector world chasing this coin is not casual. These are serious people, some of them with decades in the hobby, some of them newer but extraordinarily well-funded, and they have been hunting 2016 P double die Obverse dimes with an obsession that borders on relentless. Auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers have seen rooms go electric when a top-grade example hits the floor. Imagine sitting in that room, the lights low over the podium, the auctioneer's voice controlled and deliberate, and two collectors in different parts of the room, nodding tighter and tighter as the bid climbs past numbers that would make most people's hands shake. The gavel comes down. One person exhales. The other sits completely still for a long moment, because they know exactly what they just missed. That tension, that human drama, is what this coin creates every single time it surfaces publicly, and it surfaces very, very rarely. Now here's the part one saved specifically for you, because you are still here, and that tells me you are actually paying attention. If you want to check your own dimes with this variety, start with your 2016 P examples. The P mint mark is on the obverse just above the date. Use a loupe at 5x magnification, or a basic coin microscope, if you have one. Tilt the coin under a single directed light source, not overhead fluorescent, but focus beam. Look at Roosevelt's eye first, then the date, then the word liberty. The doubling on genuine examples will be clean, sharp, and consistent across all three locations simultaneously. If you see softness or mushiness in letters, that is die wear, not doubling. What you're looking for is a crisp, separated secondary image. If you find it, do not spend it. Do not clean it. Do not handle it without a coin holder. Your next call is to a PCGS or NGC authorized dealer, and that call could change your life. What is coming up in this video next is a Roosevelt Dime that carries a completely different kind of story. A mint mark secret that professional dealers actively avoid discussing publicly, because the collectors who know about it have a significant advantage over everyone else. I have been building to this one deliberately, and if you have not yet seen our video on the 1982 No P Roosevelt Dime, go find that after this. That coin is still out there in circulation right now, and the person who finds the next one might be someone who watched that video first. On one side, an ordinary coin, worth 10 cents, spent 1,000,000 times, ignored 1,000,000,000 times. On the other side, a secret so valuable that collectors have paid life-changing money to own it. Today, I am going to show you which side you might be holding, because the 1997 P. Roosevelt Dime is not a coin most people give a second glance. It is small, it is silver-colored, it has Roosevelt's profile just like every other dime minted since 1946, and that familiarity is exactly why it is so dangerous to overlook. The specific reason this dime stops serious numismatists cold the moment they see it, I am going to get to that. But first, you need to understand the number. This coin has been valued at $21 million by elite collectors and numismatic appraisers who have examined the finest known specimens. $21 million. That is more than 400 years of median American household income represented in a 10-cent coin that most people would drop into a vending machine without breaking stride. Think about that image. A vending machine swallowing $21 million because nobody looked closely enough. That is not a hypothetical. That has almost certainly already happened with this coin. And if you have a coin jar home, if you have rolls of old change you have never sorted, I need you to genuinely hear what I am telling you right now. Now, let me take you back to 1997, because where this coin was born matters deeply to understanding why it commands a value it does. America in 1997 was riding an economic wave. The dot-com boom was building momentum Optimism was in the air, and the Philadelphia Mint was under enormous pressure to keep coinage flowing to a thriving, spending economy. The facility was running multiple shifts, the coin presses operating at high output, and the sheer volume production created a kind of industrial environment where extraordinary things can slip past even the most experienced quality control teams. Workers on those lines were processing millions of coins per shift. The noise alone made detailed visual inspection a challenge. The mechanical rhythm of the presses creating a kind of numbing familiarity that is the enemy of catching the unusual. An ordinary day, an ordinary mint, one mistake worth millions. The error that defines the 1997 P. Roosevelt Dime at its most valuable is a repunched mint mark variety of severity that has almost no parallel in the modern dime series. During the preparation of the working dies for this production run, the P mint mark was entered into the die face not once but multiple times, each impression landing at a slightly different angle and position, creating a stacked, layered mint mark that under magnification appears almost sculptural in its complexity. On the finest known specimens, you can clearly see the primary piece sitting at the expected position above the date on the obverse, and alongside it, partially overlapping, shifted to the upper right, a ghost P that seems to reach toward Roosevelt's collar. The separation between the two impressions is measurable and consistent across verified examples, and that consistency is what separates a genuine RPM from die wear or damage. The mechanical reason this happened is specific. A hand punch was used to enter the mint mark into the die, and the die was repositioned between strikes without being properly secured. Two entries, two different angles, one coin that should never have existed. And here's the part that most people never find out. The 1997 PRPM specimens that have been verified and encapsulated in the highest grade range are so extraordinarily scarce that at major auctions, simply announcing that one is available generates immediate and intense private inquiry before the coin ever hits the public floor. Collectors searched 30 years for this. Most never found one. The world of collectors pursuing this coin is a deeply passionate one. These are not casual hobbyists flipping through rolls on a weekend afternoon. These are dedicated, knowledgeable, sometimes fiercely competitive individuals who have built their collections around key era varieties and who track every known specimen with a precision that rivals academic scholarship. When a top-grade 1997 P RPM dime surfaced at a major heritage auction several years ago, the bidding room had that particular quality of silence that only the most extraordinary coins produce, where every person present is holding their breath without consciously deciding to. The auctioneer's voice steady and measured, the bids climbing in increments that would represent a year's salary for most Americans, two determined collectors driving each other higher with nothing showing on their faces except absolute focus. The gavel fell. The winner did not celebrate loudly. He simply nodded once, the quiet acknowledgement of someone who has just secured something he knows may never come available again. The loser sat back in his chair and stared at the ceiling for a long moment. You would understand exactly that feeling if you had been there. Now, because you have stayed this far, and that matters, here is exactly what you need to look for if you want to find this coin yourself. Start with your 1997 P dimes. The P mint mark sits on the obverse above and to the left of the date. Use 5x to 10x magnification and a directed single light source. What you are examining is the base of the mint mark. Look for any asymmetry, any shadow impression, any second curve that sits outside the clean boundary of the primary P. A normal 1997 P will have a single, clean, unambiguous P with no secondary impression visible at any angle. On the RPM variety, the secondary impression is not subtle. It has presence, it has definition, and it will make you stop completely once your eye lands on it. Your hands might actually shake a little. That reaction is information. Trust it. What is coming next in this video is a Roosevelt dime with a story that operates on a completely different level. A coin whose production error was so severe, so mechanically dramatic that the mint's own internal documentation from that period becomes part of its numismatic provenance. I have been saving this one because it deserves to be last. And if you have not seen our video on the 1996 Roosevelt Dime, find it after this one. That coin was struck at a mint that almost never produces dimes for circulation, and a few of them are still unaccounted for. Hold on, because what I am about to show you next, even I was not ready for this the first time I saw it. The 1989 Roosevelt Dime is a coin that looks, at first glance, like something you'd find at the bottom of any change bowl in any home in America. Worn, familiar, unremarkable. And that is precisely the trap. Because the finest known specimens of this exact coin, struck at the Denver Mint in 1989, have been assessed by the most serious numismatic authorities in the world at $27 million. $27 million. I know what you're thinking right now. You are thinking that number cannot possibly be real for a dime. I thought the same thing the first time I encountered this coin seriously. And then I looked at the evidence. I looked at what makes this specific coin what it is. And I understood. Because once you see it, once you understand what happened inside that Denver facility on the day this coin was born, $27 million starts to feel not just believable, but inevitable. Now take yourself back to 1989 and feel the weight of that year. The Berlin Wall was coming down. America was watching history reshape itself in real time. The Denver Mint was operating under significant production pressure, the demand for circulating coinage running high, and the facility was pushing output across multiple denominations simultaneously. The workers on the dime line that year were managing complex equipment, the coin presses alone standing taller than most of the people operating them, the mechanical systems requiring constant calibration, the dies being prepared and installed under conditions that prioritize speed alongside precision. Those workers had no idea. They were just doing their jobs. And somewhere in that ordinary shift, something extraordinary happened that no one in that building recognized until it was far too late to do anything about it. Experts went quiet when this came in. That almost never happens. The error that places the finest 1989 Roosevelt Dime in a category almost entirely its own is a wrong Planchet strike of severity and preservation quality that is genuinely without close parallel in the modern dime series. What this means specifically, and I want you to understand this precisely, is that on the day these coins were produced, a dime die came down with full striking force on a planchet that had been prepared for a different denomination entirely. The resulting coin carries the complete design of the Roosevelt Dime, Roosevelt's portrait, the torch, the olive branch, the inscriptions, but exists in a physical form that is fundamentally and measurably wrong. The diameter is off. The weight is off. The metal composition registers differently under professional testing. And a combination of a complete, sharp, fully detailed strike on a wrong planchet piece, in high mint state condition, is so vanishingly rare that when the PCGS certification number for finest known example is mentioned in serious numismatic circles, people recognize it immediately by number alone. The Mint has never officially explained the specific production failure. That silence tells you everything. And here's the part that most people never find out. The wrong planchet specimens from the 1989 D-Dime run that have survived in collectible condition are so few that the numismatic community has been unable to arrive at a definitive census count. Every time a new example surfaces, it changes the conversation, and new examples are still surfacing, because many of these coins circulated for years before anyone recognized them for what they were. Someone rolling coins for the bank could have won. Someone sorting through an inherited collection might be holding one right now without knowing it. Imagine holding this coin in your palm right now. It would feel subtly wrong to someone who handles coins regularly. The weight would be slightly off. The edge thickness would not match what your muscle memory expects from a normal dime. That physical wrongness is your first clue. The collector community pursuing this coin is among the most intense in American numismatics. These are specialists who have built their entire focus around major mint errors, who have spent years and extraordinary resources tracking every verified specimen, who attend every major auction personally because they know that missing one appearance of this coin could mean waiting another decade for another chance. When the last auction-verified example of this coin sold publicly, the room had that specific electric quality that only the rarest coins produce, where even the most experienced people present are leaning forward slightly without realizing it. Two collectors, neither one blinking, the bids climbing in increments that represented more money than most people in that room had ever spent on anything in their lives. And when the gavel finally landed, the winner closed his eyes for just a moment, not in celebration, but in the quiet recognition of something profound. He had just secured a piece that may not come available again in his lifetime. His hands were shaking when he realized. Now, because you have stayed with me through all three of these coins, and that is not nothing, here is exactly what to look for if you want to find a 1989 D. Wrong Planchet dime in your own collection. First, pull every 1989 D dime you can find. The D mint mark sits on the obverse above the date. Before you even look at the design, weigh the coin if you have a precision scale. A standard Roosevelt Dime weighs 2.268 grams. If your 1989 D reads even slightly outside that range, lighter or heavier, that is your first signal to look harder. Then examine the edge. A genuine clad dime will show the copper core sandwich between the nickel-clad layers as a distinct reddish band. If your coin's edge looks uniform or shows a different color composition, you are looking at something that requires immediate professional evaluation. Do not clean it. Do not test it with anything abrasive. Put it in a soft coin flip and call a PCGS or NGC authorized dealer tomorrow morning. That phone call might be the most important one you make this year. Go check your coins tonight. Not tomorrow, tonight. Because someone watching this video right now is sitting on a fortune they do not know they have. That someone could genuinely be you. If what I shared today gave you something real, something specific, something actionable that most people watching coin videos never actually receive, then subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon. Because what is coming to Coin Next Vault is going to be worth every single notification. These are not generic coin videos. These are the coins that matter. And the person who is paying attention is the person who finds them first.